Greetings, all you Jackson Jennings, and welcome to your daily dose of donkey with Ginger. It's time to do Steeler talk. Gingy, Laskers, what did we see this week? What was that? Week 11 going into week 12. What the heck? Why wasn't that a win? Gingy.
Ha! It wasn't a win because the Chargers did what they did all game, and that was pretty much move the ball at will and score. That should have never really been a game. Score is deceiving, the stats are deceiving, makes the Steelers' offense look good, but none of that production was consistent. A lot to unpack there. Laskers?
That is just fair.
Yep, there was definitely a lot to unpack, and I'm going to apologize right now to everyone that I don't sound very good. And I agree with Gingy. I mean, that should never even been a game. We should have got blown out the way that they were able to move the ball.
They were getting
The
blown
Chargers
out.
definitely looked like the better team. We'll say that. There were some other things happening in the AFC North. Maybe we talked about Browns eking out a win over Detroit, but hey, they beat
Ugly.
Detroit. The Ravens doing what you were told was going to happen, winning in magic Raven fashion over the Bears. I'm not quite sure how this team manages to do it every week, but every week they got some little horseshoe shoved somewhere to win a game. And we had the Bengals just slapping up the Raiders. I mean, after the Raiders had to cut their 2 first-round draft picks from 2019, things have not looked very good out there in Vegas. Almost called them Oakland. I might have called them Oakland earlier. If I did, sorry, Vegas Raiders. I'm about to call the Chargers San Diego 8 times, so everyone please pardon
We'll
me
keep
on
count.
that.
We'll
Do you
keep
guys
count.
you guys have anything you want to say about those AFC North games we saw last week before we get into the Steelers?
I will say the Browns are the Browns. They barely squeaked one out. Holy smokes. They didn't as much. The Ravens didn't as much win that game as the Bears lost it. We'll go with that. And the Bengals looking strong. Don't really like to see them score 30-plus points in a week or 8 before they play us.
The Bengals are a young roster who's really starting to get it together with some really good weapons, and we will get into that shortly. Laskers, I know that you've been riding high on this team due to your power rankings for a while, but I want to mention the Tennessee Titans losing another game to a terrible team in the Houston Texans, and now this week having to put A.J. Brown on IR. Is it time for you to start worrying about those Tennessee Titans? I mean, the Colts are up and coming and playing some pretty good football right now.
I do think it's time to start worrying. But also, I want to go back and say that I'm going to be looking for a genie on the sideline of the Ravens. I think that might be how they're winning.
What, Will Smith's there pretending to give wishes?
Mm-hmm.
It's all Aladdin all over. Okay, so you guys have any stories you want to cover from Week 11 before we get into diagnosing the Pittsburgh Steelers play?
Can't think of anything.
Only thing I want to say is it's still heating up out in the NFC. One of the big teams out there, the Packers, took a tough in-division loss to the Vikings last week, showing that football is still full of parity and it's anyone's game on any given Sunday.
I think the Packers did something really fun like the Steelers. The Packers, another team that's been struggling to get it going on offense. I think that was either their first or second 30-point game. For the Steelers, it was the first. And they put up an L when the offense finally scores points. I mean, should these teams just keep playing ugly and be like, nah, we're going to try to win 24-20? Should that be the Packers recipe, much like the Steelers recipe?
I don't think it's a bad plan. I mean, they do seem to struggle when they score too many points.
Also, have you seen how large of a human being A.J. Dillon is? Is that right? Is that his name right? The Packers running back? The guy from Boston College?
I'm going to go
Yeah.
look.
Yes.
Okay, hopefully Gingy knew.
That man is a large individual, and you could not pay me enough money to try and tackle him. That's all I'm going to say on that. Now, Deontay Johnson to the house. That's nice to see. Hopefully we see that this weekend. That tends to get the Steelers going off early when we get there. All right. So who wants first crack at what happened this last Sunday against the Chargers? But first, I guess we should do this. There was a mouthful of bubble gum being chewed, and it led to something special. So, Gingy, I'll let you lead into that one because I know you love the bubble gum.
Holy smokes! What a play last week to kick that game back around, Donkey, with Danny Smith's special teams unit. Killebrew, was it, coming through?
It was.
And he was also the individual with a block punt earlier this season, correct?
He either blocked it or scored the touchdown. Not sure which. Maybe both.
Oh my!
But yes,
wow.
in the Buffalo game, he was involved in the play in the Buffalo game. Yes.
The absolute definition of how special teams turns the game around. But Donkey, leading up to that point, it was an absolute bloodbath. Steelers were down 17 going into the fourth quarter. Was
Correct.
it? And we
almost did something we've never done.
We'd seen one touchdown in the second quarter, and other than that, the offense was dead. There was nothing.
Would you like me to recap the drives before the block, Gingy? Because I believe it went touchdown, touchdown, field goal, touchdown, field goal, block punt. So it's not. We had not stopped them up to that point.
Wow.
And that block punt happened, in the fourth quarter? So the Steelers' defense did not put a stop on the board for 3 quarters.
No, I remember seeing there was. Let me check this real quick. The Steelers or the Chargers punted one time? Yeah.
The whole game, yes. And
One
they turned the
time.
ball over on downs once too.
See what would have happened if you would have put that punter out there a couple more times for them? The only time he stepped on the field, it got blocked and turned the game around.
That's
Crazy.
true. Laskers, I want to go to you for this. Steelers offense going up against the worst running defense in the league, and this offensive line that everyone said it'd get better as the year went on. Looks like it's getting worse as the year goes on. What were we averaging to carry this game?
3.2, and we only carried the ball, rough guesstimate, 16 times.
It's hard when you get behind early, but honestly, a team like the Chargers, you need to control the clock, you need to control the ball, you need to keep Justin Herbert off the field. And I feel like the Steelers went into this Ben's back, so we're going to throw the ball 60 times type of BS, Gingy. Are we falling back into the lull that led to the decimation of last season?
I hope not. I mean, Ben, 44 pass attempts last week. Still a QBR of over 109, but that's still too many. That's having to do too much. It wasn't balanced and consistent. What really I feel happened at the end of that game, and like I said, 37 points. Donkey, 37 points. Any other week, what would be talking? We'd be talking about an explosion. And at the end of the game, go. It was. It wasn't.
It was an explosion. It was, but it was just like last season. This offense can't do anything when it's on schedule, but if the defense can cause turnovers, which I know there's only one in the box score, but honestly there was 3. There's the block punt that got to the 2-yard line, Cam Sutton's interception, and the turnover downs that was in San Diego territory. Oh, I did it. Los Angeles territory.
One.
There was 3 turnovers that led to 17 points. So if you take away the turnovers, it was just another hum-ho day when you look at the on-schedule drives for the Steelers offense, because you take those 17 points off the board, you're talking only 20 points put up on schedule drives. The question is, Gingy, can we see an offensive explosion without the defense setting it up?
That's 100% what I was going to say, is that no, I don't think we would have, and I don't think we would have in that game had there not been those major offensive turnaround or those major explosive turnaround type of plays. I don't think we would have seen them come in.
I hear you. And I said it to you guys before. I don't think the offense is going to get the criticism it should because of the way this score ended up. But honestly, the defense is the reason they put up the big points. And the defense is also the reason we lost the game, because that was some kind of showing. But Gingy, you had a really good talk before, and I'm going to say it again. Keith Butler, unless he's coaching with first-round picks, he doesn't know how to scheme a defense. But, Gingy, explain to me who the hell Keith Butler was playing with this weekend.
Okay. Yeah, you were talking to me a little bit about this earlier, Donkey. Some of these folks, for folks who aren't really honing in on the Steelers on a day-to-day, week-to-week basis, checking practice squad guys, there's some names on here that Donkey, even I was looking at thinking, I'd take a clip. Daniel Archibong. Cool name. Cool sounding name. Really, Donkey? Don't think that guy's seen a whole lot of playing time. Not sure. I could be wrong. Put it in the comments below if I'm wrong. Tell Gingy he's a dumbass, but
Hey, he had two tackle assists.
I see this. Who's the one you correct? Akala Witherspoon.
Akila Witherspoon.
Yeah.
The Steelers have valued Akila Witherspoon more than they valued Melvin Ingram. I'm going to say this because we traded a 5th-round pick to Seattle to get Akila Witherspoon, and we accepted only a 6th to get Ingram. So the Steelers front office views Witherspoon as a better player than Melvin Ingram. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, I know he doesn't get much time on the field.
And hey, Alex Highsmith, our future superstar, had a sack and a half, and Taco Charlton, former first-round draft pick, had a half a sack. So there's some I can't even say big names without laughing. There's some big names on that defense, Gingy.
Holy smokes, Trey Norwood, ladies and gentlemen. I don't think I want. He shouldn't be out there for consistent periods of time, Donkey.
He's been playing pretty good at slot corner, but huge mistake when he tried to jump a route from deep safety when you're playing overtop coverage. You cannot do that. And that was a killer. I mean,
I don't.
Why don't you mention? You didn't mention Derek Tuska, by the way. We're talking about a dude with a cool name and some cool hair. Come on now.
Tuska. Yeah, there's another name in the box score. Very unknown commodities out there with, of course, Joe Hayden, T.J. Watt on the sidelines.
And Minkah.
Minkah Fitzpatrick. Yeah, Minkah Fitzpatrick as well, I think. Yeah.
He packed it in for that game.
Well, we packed it in early, it looked like. Sort of had life at the end with some big plays. Silver lining, Donkey, give the special teams an A overall for game-changing plays, and Chris Boswell having a hell of a season, I feel, overall. Just money on 3 more.
Yeah, Boswell's just really been solid for us. The special teams being a reason the Steelers are actually in a game. I mean, I did not expect to see that at all. That was fun to see. Laskers, is this one of the years where the special teams has to be the thing that puts this team over the top?
I think that, and we really need some step up in the defense to actually, I think, have a chance. And I do think what you were alluding to earlier with defense setting up the offense, I think that's going to play a big key into if we can get wins.
Also, I want to point out a play, Laskers. I want you to tell me if this is a big deal. The Steelers have a receiver who's 15 yards behind the defense, and Ben hits him, but in a way he has to fall over to make the catch, so we don't get an easy walk-in touchdown, and the Steelers end up getting stopped on 4th down and goal to go. So no points come off of what should be a give-me touchdown in the NFL. You don't get more open receivers than Chase Claypool. One, how much better does this offense look when Claypool's there to take the top off it? And 2, is it going to be a big deal that Ben keeps missing these walk-in touchdowns? Not missing them to where they're incomplete, but missing them to where they're not walk-in touchdowns.
Both of those things I think are big deals. I think it's a big deal when Claypool's on the field to open it up. Plus, just having that another receiver that can catch the ball, and it's definitely a big problem if you don't get easy walk-in touchdowns.
That's true. That defensive performance, Gingy.
Speaking of walk-in touchdowns,
is there something positive we can say other than Cam
game?
Hayward has a big? Oh, sorry. What?
No, I was saying walk-in touchdowns. You're talking about how about the Chargers running game with some walk-in touchdowns? That side looks pretty good for them.
Or their quarterback.
Justin Herbert might have ran for
He did a lot of strolling.
500 yards if that game kept going. I'm not sure the Steelers sniffed him on any of those plays. But Gingy, outside of Cam Hayward's big head leading to an interception for Cam Sutton, give me something positive for this defense.
Really? You line me up with that? Like, how am I supposed to defend that position, Donkey? 41 points on the board. What can I say about the defense?
They played a decent fourth quarter?
No. Disagreed.
They stopped them in the fourth quarter.
They gave up another 14 points in the fourth quarter? Yeah.
They played their best quarter in the first.
Kind of.
I don't know. What I can say about the defense is they did go in there and played enough to still have the Steelers in at the end of the game, despite having, some of the biggest assets on their defense being out this week. They hung in there long enough to put themselves in a position to have a one stop and have a position to win. One stop would have won the game, regardless of how many times they got driven down on before. And that's not bad for the quality of the unit that's being put on the field. There's your silver lining.
That's fair. Some fun stats I want to point out from the game. The Steelers inside the 10-yard line, terrible. Let's just say what it was. I know there was touchdowns, a couple were on fourth down, but I mean, they were 4 of 8 passing for 14 yards. They did get 2 touchdowns there, but still 1.8 yards per play, only 50% completion. It's average. That's 4 plays for a touchdown. That's not going to score you a touchdown. So let's go to the running side. 4 carries for 2 yards and a touchdown. But a lot of that was because of the failed end around to Claypool kind of makes the stats look a lot worse. Is this a team that can afford, I believe it's 58% touchdown rate inside the red zone right now? And when you look at the stats, they are not very good as a red zone team. I think that stat right there alone is 17th in the league. But more importantly, they average only 3.2 yards per passing attempt when inside the red zone and only 3.1 yards per rushing attempt while inside the red zone. They average 5.6 pass plays per touchdown or 3.7 rush plays per touchdown, which is meaning more often than not we're not scoring touchdowns. How do we improve here? Is it more we have to, even though our offensive line is terrible, we have to focus on running the ball? Because it is 62 pass attempts to 26 rushes in the red zone. Is that the wrong recipe? Is that why the Steelers are struggling right now?
Yeah, that unit's got to work more cohesively. What they lack in talent and experience, they got to make up for in team effort. And that group still isn't gelling. Or I don't know if those guys. I don't know how long they're all going to be able to persist in those positions, because we were talking about it earlier, the shovel pass, the jet sweeps, these plays, they're not getting set up, and the blocking ain't there.
They don't work unless your offensive line gets a push. When you're jet sweeping into a guy who's already 3 yards back in the backfield, it ain't going to work.
And it didn't. There's, I think, 2 jet sweeps by Claypool that both looked bad.
Now, the reason I wanted to start with the line play when I went to you, Gingy, is there was a guy who I was promised was going to do big things and be an absolute people mover. He's been on the active roster now for 5 or 6 weeks. Where in the hell is Zach Banner? By the way, he was on the field for the touchdown run, I do believe. But why in the hell is Dan Moore can't block Jr. starting at left tackle? Chuck's, at least I can slow someone down a core for starting at right tackle. Where is this big people mover I've been promised, and why is he not on the football field, Gingy?
I have no idea. No idea, Donkey.
And before we get to anything else, Laskers, I have one question. Did you watch the last drive of this Steelers game?
No, I didn't. I went to bed.
So you didn't get to see Kendrick Green get driven 20 yards straight backwards into Ben Roethlisberger's lap?
Nope. I heard you tell me about it though.
Gingy,
Yeah, I saw it.
I was sold that this dude was going to be a great center. He's the next Steeler legend. What, he might be the worst lineman I've ever seen play at center for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Like, I'm missing Jeff Hardings at this point, man. Like,
Oh, wow.
he made Jeff Hardings look like a Super Bowl Hall of Fame lock first ballot gold jacket guy.
He also almost snapped the ball over Ben's head.
There's not much I can say that's good about Kendrick Green. Gingy, was this just a whiff? Was this someone that just needs to be replaced?
I don't know. What are we in? We're he's,
Week 11.
He's had
Game
11
11,
games
week
of
12.
experience. I don't know,
10
Donkey. I don't
now,
know. I don't know when you can't make a move on a third round guy based on what you paid, what you gave up for him when you cut the strings on that. I don't know. I'd say we got to continue to let it ride the rest of this season and make a decision in the off season.
And so I have a question for both of you here. We'll start with Laskers to answer it before I say that's enough talking about whatever the hell happened in Los Angeles. Did
Ooh.
you notice the Chargers start moving their defensive ends inside and their defensive tackles outside, and then the pressure to Ben just started to become insurmountable because none of our interior linemen can block? Did you happen to notice that?
I did notice that, and it's actually good game planning by them to switch what they're doing when it's not fully working like they planned.
And Gingy, before it goes to you, does that mean, as the Pittsburgh Steelers, we should expect to see a heavy dose of both Trey Hendrickson and Sam Hubbard this week, lining up on the inside instead of the outside of the line for Cincinnati?
You asked that,
quite-
did you? Okay.
It's quite possible. I think I don't know what we're gonna see this week from the Bungles, Donkey. It's gonna be hard to tell, but yeah, if they end up watching tape from that game, they're gonna end up seeing that it was effective.
What you're going to see is a linebacker who I'm going to talk about right now because he is super underrated in my opinion, and that's Logan Wilson. He's coming in. He has about 8 tackles a game, 4 interceptions, a sack. This kid's been playing out of his mind, and I think he needs to be talked about because no one on the Bengals defense really outside of probably Trey Hendrickson and Sam Hubbard get talked about much, but that kid's been having a hell of a year. But before we get into that, I want to know, you guys think we summed up Week 11 well enough?
I think so.
Yeah, I mean there wasn't. We had a couple of those splash plays. Heck yeah, to Cam Sutton for throwing it out there and really making something happen. That's a tough one, Donkey. There was a real
interception
chance to win that game.
For a DB. I think this game's going to hurt more than you know because a game like that, when you put in so much grit, so much heart, so much try to get back into it, you get the lead and then you lose. I just feel like that's going to take something out, and I really hope that's not I hope this is not the game you look back to and say that's where it fell apart. But I have a bad feeling. I hope I'm wrong. It reminds me of the game in 2019 where everyone realized Duck Hodges can't throw a football, so just play 8 in the box, and the 2019 season fell apart.
I hope not, Donkey. That's not what we're looking for here. This is the week. I don't have anything else to say about Los Angeles because for me, Donkey, this is one of the testing weeks. If we go down 0-2 in the division to the Bengals, that's a steep hill to climb.
Before we get into this fun one, which should have a lot of good talk, there is one other AFC game going on this week. I believe we're waiting all week for a Sunday night, right? Is that right?
Oh,
we got
boy.
The Ravens Brownies.
Oh,
Yep.
boy.
I'm going to start off this week. I got the Magic Ravens and their Magic Horseshoe by 10.
You want to go, Gingy?
I think the Browns are looking really sus. What's going on there? Something is going on there. Baker's hurt, is what I think
He's
really
hurt.
is what there
You
is.
can see he's not the same quarterback he's ever been, and it's really affecting what they can do. And teams are queuing up on the run now, daring Baker to beat him.
Yeah, because he looks messed up for sure. I think that the Ravens win handily on Sunday night. Make them look real good in front of a national audience again when they are still fairly sus, in my opinion.
All right, you want my
they
weird
won
one?
without Lamar, so give them a little credit.
I'm going Ravens by 4. Not sure how they're getting there, but that's what I'm going with.
Yeah, Ravens by
Probably-
a touchdown for me. Ravens by a touch.
Probably 2 70-yard field goals.
Yo, Tucker is the man. That dude, he's got to be a gold jacket guy.
The only
should
two
be.
kickers who I trust in the whole league right now reside in the AFC North. That's all I'm going to say. I trust no other kicker in the league because I've watched so many missed field goals this year, I can't even begin to count them. But
I wonder if there's a stat for that.
For sucking at field goals, I'm sure there is.
No, I just mean how many have been missed.
I can tell you in one weekend over 2 games there were 7 missed game-winning field goals.
Yeah, I watched those 2 games.
So yeah, that's something, I'll tell you.
Oh, I need my phone to do this math.
By the way, I don't know what team I was watching, but there is some fat college kicker who kicked like a 56-yarder today. I love Chris Boswell, but if we could get a 260-pound kicker to go with our 260-pound punter, I am all for it.
Sweet.
Just putting it out there because it's on my mind, and that was fun. Bengals game, preview of it. Who wants to lead it off? Laskers, your voice is kind of dead, so I know. We'll go to Gingy.
That's good because I'm doing math here.
Well, I think they're really 2 evenly matched teams, Donkey. What? Bengals coming in at 6-4.
That sounds right.
Steelers 5-4-1.
Yep.
Both of those things are correct.
So I think we're looking at 2 evenly matched. Both teams have had weeks where they show well and weeks where they stink out. I'm hoping that TJ coming back is not a rush. Any information on that, Donkey? In terms, he's 100% full practice, good to go type of guy, or
Injuries like that, they say no news is good news. So the fact that he didn't appear on anything, I guess, is good news. But depending on if the injury is like a big bone bruise or something like that, dude, one hit could be the injury to it. I don't know. I know Minka's back from COVID, but Joe Hayden's out, right?
Yes, he's out.
yeah, that's not good. But Minka
And
back over the top instead of Trey Norwood there is a good fix.
Unlike the first time we played the Bengals, they have back the guy who I was afraid of when we played him. I even mentioned him in the podcast. T. Higgins is back for the Bengals this week, fully healthy. That opens up a different dimension to their passing game.
Yeah, and that's between Chase and Higgins. That's what you really got to watch out for. I don't know though. The Steelers' run defense the past few weeks has been super sus. Pretty much all the way around. So watch out for Mixon too.
I'm gonna bring this up again. The Steelers' run defense the last 2 years when Tyson Alu hasn't played has been nothing but sus. Like, they cannot stop anyone when Alu doesn't play. And it's, again, I'm blaming it on the game plan. I'm blaming it on the coaching. You have to put the players in a situation to win, and Keith Butler doesn't do that. Every week we have linebackers out of place. I'm not going to say Devin Bush and Joe Schobert don't know how to work together, but they both run to the same hole every time, which just leaves the other gap wide open. Neither one of those guys is good at gap responsibility. I really hope the Bengals and Joe Mixon can't expose that, but I don't even think it's going to be Joe Mixon, Laskers. I think it's going to be Joe Burrow both throwing and running the ball that is the biggest threat to the Steelers.
Well, especially after last week where we couldn't even contain Herbert and he ran for 90 yards. By the way, there have been 108, roughly, because I may have missed some because I was looking at other things at the same time. 108 missed field goals this year. The Steelers,
Jesus,
the
that's
Steelers do
week
have,
11.
yeah,
That's 10 kicks a week.
the Steelers do
That's
have
not
the
wait,
best field goal percentage.
that's not counting extra points.
No, that's just field goals.
Jeez Louise, dude, I should have learned how to kick a field goal through the uprights because that's. I'm sorry, when you get paid millions of dollars, anything under 40 yards you shouldn't miss. Also, there's a lot of teams that are sticking with veteran kickers who are just terrible this year. I mean, Green Bay, didn't they lose again because Mason Crosby can't make a field goal?
He's missed 8. I believe
Yeah,
that
yeah,
should be.
four.
I believe that is the
I believe
highest number that's missed.
I believe 4 or 5 of those were game-winning field goals too.
At
So-
least 3 were in that one game.
Yeah, I know. He did hit the game winner though last year, so let's not forget that.
Yeah.
But yeah, talking about the Bengals, let's start on their defense. You're obviously talking this offensive line has to contain Trey Hendrickson and Sam Hubbard. Those two come in with a combined 15 and a half sacks. Ben likes to throw interceptions to the middle linebackers. Logan Wilson loves to get them. Ben has to make sure he's really, really secure with the ball. Because let's be honest, I don't think the Steelers have a game they won this year where they didn't win the turnover margin. So Steelers cannot turn the ball over and have a chance at winning most likely. They have to play clean football. So we have to avoid some guys on that defense. And if you remember last time we played, getting really close to smacking the spit out of Ben was Mike Hilton, who, by the way, would you guys believe this? Mike Hilton does not have a registered sack on the season for the Bengals yet. Will his first non-Pittsburgh sack come against the Steelers? Laskers?
I hope not, but the way that the offensive line's been looking, it might.
Gingy, what you thinking? You think he's going to get his first one?
Let's hope not. Not this time.
And then,
Donkey.
of course, I have to give a shout out to the Bengals defensive back with a really cool name. I mean, Chidobe Awuzie. Let's not throw him the ball, but if we do, I'm definitely going to talk about him next week because that's just a hell of a name, and it's fun to say. I'm not going to lie out there. But the Bengals, like you said, very Jekyll and Hyde on defense. This is a team that's given up 40 points to the Browns, 34 points to the New York Jets, but then they have some games out there where they hold the Steelers to 10. They hold a pretty good Green Bay team to 25. They hold Baltimore to 17. Are they good? Are they bad? I mean, I think they're 9th in the league in scoring on offense and defense. Is this a defense the Steelers can have an explosion against Gingy? And if so, how do we do it?
It has to come with consistent establishment of the running game, and that goes into this offensive line, Donkey. It feels like a broken record. We say the same thing every week. The Steelers need to have some push and establishment up front. They don't have it on run games or on run plays or on pass plays. They don't have it. Donkey, they don't got the juice. They need to find the juice. That brings it to like I said, my guy on offense this week is the guy who you called out earlier. It's got to be the third rounder, Kendrick Green. Got to have some establishment at that center position. That's your anchor position at that line.
Yeah, and who's even starting at left guard this week? Is it going to be Joe Haig? I mean, Hassenauer just got moved to IR along with, who else got put there? Oh, yeah, that's right. Eric Ebron finally has a good game and gets moved to IR, of course. Laskers, what are you looking for on offense?
It's the exact same thing as Gingy's saying. It's got to come from the offense. Sorry, the offensive line and a push to get a good running game going. I mean, what we put up last week with yards, and a carry is terrible.
It doesn't even have to be. It doesn't even have to be a good running game per se. It has to have one with some bite. It has to have one that could gash you. It doesn't even necessarily have to. It just They have to commit to it. They have to make them commit to playing it.
That's fair. I feel like in watching these last 2 weeks, I've seen Najee do stuff I've never seen him do before. Shy away from contact, run out of bounds, look like he's going to hurdle someone but not try it. I feel like Najee's starting to really get worn down, and that's bad news for the Steelers. I hope he looks fresh this week, but the last few weeks he's looked like a man who just is worn down, and you're seeing him getting taken out more and more. I feel like the out more and more should have been what was happening early in the season. I feel like it's a little late now. You can't take the miles off that have already been run, and I'm a little nervous about that. That's why my X factor, I think the game's going to have to fall on the shoulders of Ben, and I think Ben needs to hit 2 40-plus yard plays, actually hit receivers in stride, and I feel he has to play a clean game. There cannot be a turnover. I think if Ben can hit a couple deep throws, be efficient in the red zone, at least a 75% touchdown once we get into the red zone, Ben puts them in the right plays like a veteran should, I feel this game is going to fall on Ben. I feel going to the end of this season, I don't think the run game's going to get it together. I don't think this offensive line's going to get it together. I think Ben needs to end his career on a superhuman, heroic, Tom Brady type of, you think I'm dead? Watch this type of run. So, to me, it has to be Ben. I think Ben has to carry this team. I don't feel the run game will ever be capable of doing it. And now that leads us to defensive talk. So, when we get up here, you're looking at the Bengals, you're looking at Joe Burrow, quarterback rating over 1,000, a guy who's put up a bunch of touchdowns, but has been sacked 28 times, has turned the ball over 11 times in 10 games. The recipe has to be to get turnovers, right, Laskers? Like, you have to obviously slow down Joe Mixon, make Burrow beat you. You have to not let Chase and Higgins get behind you or be able to get behind you. Azuma's also pretty good out there. But it has to be make Joe Burrow make bad decisions, right?
I agree. I mean, he has to, and he's done it in the past, so you have to make him do that kind of stuff. Otherwise, we will fail every time. And I hate picking, hopefully TJ plays, and that's who I think will make the difference, getting the pressure on him, and hopefully in a quick manner.
That's fair. Now, Gingy, the Bengals are trying to do something they have not done to the Pittsburgh Steelers since, he's an analyst named Boomer Esiason was their quarterback. They have not beat the Steelers 3 straight times. What does the defense need to do to make sure that this isn't the time it happens?
Cut down on the big ones. No big walk into the end zone type of touchdown passes for Joe Burrow this week. Can't happen. No big ones from Jamar Chase or he down there dancing and doing all the thing. Nah, that's the key, donkey, right there. You got to keep bend but don't break. That's usually the Steeler philosophy. I hate to see it because I hate when these teams waltz down the field for 60 yards, get right in field goal range, and then they'll get a penalty, and then they'll get a sack, and then they'll punt. And that's the way the Steelers defense tends to work in my eyes.
I would love to say you're wrong, but you're most certainly not. Yeah, I hear you on that. What personnel group are you looking more the secondary to hold up, or are you looking more the front seven to not give Burrow that time to throw those deep passes?
Well, I think when you're looking at the two facets of the game that I'm looking at, it's got to be the front seven because they have a couple different jobs. They got to be getting pressure on Joe Burrow, but at the same time, they can't be sledding downhill so hard that they let Mixon have a big lane in the middle.
That's fair.
And I think that's why it's going to look at the front seven because I think that's they have a bigger job, I think, this week.
Well, they do, and they have the two players, I guess you can say, are the only two difference makers on the Steelers. Like, I know people want to tell me Joe Hayden, but what does he have, like, no interceptions? People want to tell me Minkah Fitzpatrick, but again, no interceptions. I mean, the only guys who are making game-changing plays right now are Cam Hayward, who is our best pass defender. I mean, he's the only one who bats the ball away, and TJ Watt, the only guy who seems to be getting to the quarterback. Although, I know I've been hating on you, so I'm going to give you some love here. Alex Highsmith, sack and a half last week. Get your total up to 3. Let's keep bringing the pressure. Let's keep the front seven rolling. Let's see some pressure out of, I don't know. Why not Isaiah Buggs get in there and get a sack or something? Let's get it from someone who's a unexpected source. But no. That's not what I'm going to say again. I'm going to call him out again because he's finally back on the field. Minkah Fitzpatrick has to make a play. We traded a first rounder to get this guy. A first round safety has to make game-changing plays. And Minkah's getting closer and closer and closer to doing it. Hell, he almost did it in the Detroit game, but Devin Bush kind of held before that. These first-round talents need to play like first-round talents. The Minkah Fitzpatricks, the Devin Bushes, the ones who aren't playing up to par, right? So I have to go Minkah there. And that leads us to, how do we see this game going? Laskers, what do you feel?
I'm feeling 24-21 Steelers.
Ooh, we're back to picking the Steelers. Nice.
Well, I have to now.
All right, Jen, Jay.
Dang, Laskers, you seriously stole my thunder on that one. That was going to be my pick, 24-21 Steelers. Let's break it down a little bit, though. I think it's going to have to be what we talked about. I think it's going to come down to that final drive in the front seven. Somebody like TJ is going to come up with a big play to shut him down at the end. It's going to be a nail-biter, though, folks, and this is going to be a big one. The AFC. Big determination. It determines how this all breaks down here for playoff time.
It's AFC North football. I know better than to pick two-score games in AFC North football. I, however, don't agree with you guys. I think it's the Bengals 28-20 over the Steelers. I feel last week drags on to this week. I don't think the front seven does enough, and I feel this back four, back five, back six, however many DBs there are, don't hold up, much like the first game we played against the Bengals. I think the Bengals have gotten healthier. I think the Bengals have gotten better, and I feel the Steelers are taking steps the other direction. I don't want to say the Chargers was a turning point, but I feel like it was. I honestly said, if you listen to my preseason analysis, I felt we were going to tie this game and then the struggles start, but I'm going to be honest with you. Gingy, Laskers, this Steelers team, especially after last week, they don't have it. I don't know how to describe it, but the Steelers have the ability to make games, but I don't feel they have the ability to close. Does that make sense?
That makes a lot of sense.
I don't know if it's a coaching problem, if it's a player problem, but I just don't feel like the fire is there. I don't feel like winning's overly important. And I'm going to call someone out on this. I don't think certain players, maybe I won't say names, but I don't feel certain players are 100% in on this season. I watched all the games at least twice, and there are times when things just look like there's a lack of effort, there's a lack of urgency, or there's just an outright lack of care in this Steelers team. And growing up with the 90s Steelers, even if they weren't good teams, man, they gave it all on the field. They pushed everything. And I just, outside of guys like Cam Hayward, I don't get that feeling. Am I missing it, or am I just too negative right now? Should I be more positive, Gingy?
I don't think that you have any reason to believe until we see this week. That's going to be a big tell. Because like I said, AFC North football, donkey. This is where all the chips fall down at. This is what's going to matter. Already 0-1. Already 0-1 versus this team so far this season. This is a must-have. There's a certain point in the season where I think, donkey, it's a little bit rushed to call a game a must-have. But when we're looking at, the start of December football, the end of November, I think we're at a point in the season where we can literally call this a must-have.
You look at the Steelers' schedule from here out, there is, 0 games against teams with losing records remaining on this schedule?
No gimmies.
I don't believe I'm wrong there. I believe there's 0, now that Minnesota's 500, I don't think the Steelers play a game against a team that currently has a losing record. Every game's a must-have because you can't afford to give one away. And that I'm going to look back at that Chargers game, that comeback that should have been, and then just gave it right back. You cannot afford to give away winnable football games. And we did. It's that simple. We did. It hurts. I'm hoping the Steelers come back and just lay it to the Bengals like they are right here, 20-0 on my screen. I don't know if I believe it, but hey, Madden says it can happen. It can happen. That's all I'm going to tell you. You guys have anything else for Week 12 talk?
I
don't think so.
Let's go Steelers. I'm ready for it, Donkey. Here we go. Get fired up.
Yeah, that's for sure. That brings us to the fun part then. Shout-outs. Laskers. Hit it.
I'm going Boswell. Come on, Boswell. We need a big game from you this week. I think he's going to be the key factor to winning the game.
Gingy, shout out.
Shout out Chris Boswell. In a year where the kickers are not looking their strongest, Chris Boswell puts another 3 field goals on the board. Looking better at field goals than he is at extra points, I'd say, at this point in the season. And my shout outs to a guy who's reliable, all right? And when we're playing these close games that come down to 37-41s and ties and things like that, if we give this guy a chance, he is capitalizing on the opportunities that he is given. And shout out to that.
He's only missed one, by the way, Gingy.
He's missed a field goal. He's missed an extra point, too.
That's what I mean. Is the extra point was the extra? That was what I was saying. Is he missed one extra point?
Gotcha.
My shout out has to go to a guy who I give a lot of crap to, and he's going to continue to get it because I still don't believe in him being good. But this year, that damn bubble gum is getting chewed, and there are plays being made. So my shout out goes to 2 guys. A guy who has changed the way that special teams is done. Miles Killebrew. Which, by the way, Derek Watt, if you're taking notes, look how a special teams ace is supposed to play on special teams, you bum. Killebrew, killing it. Danny Smith, chew that bubble gum as long as your special teams keeps making plays. And also, no shanked punts recently. That's great to see. You got to keep it going, special teams, because we're going to need another stellar performance from you guys for the rest of the year. With that, it's time to let you know I am the Viking Donkey. That's the Xbox tag. Viking_Donkey Twitch and Twitter. Your daily dose of donkey with Ginger. Leave us a comment. Let us know if you want us to talk about anything else. If there's any segment you'd like us to do, like a crazy breakdown of stats. Because you know I love to just find all sorts of stupid stats. Which, by the way, all I'm going to say is, stat I didn't mention but should have been mentioned today. The Steelers' on-schedule offense, which is drives they start not after a turnover, only 1.6 points per drive. If you do that, you get an average of about 12 drives a game. You're not scoring over 20 points. That's exactly where we are. Why the Steelers suck is because we can't score on schedule. But that's the way I have to leave it. Laskers, say your piece. Send it to Gingy. Let's lead us off into a win in Cincinnati land. The land of the worst kind of chili ever. Skyline's chili sucks!
I actually really agree with that statement. Skyline chili is not good. Yeah, you can find me Laskers everywhere. That's about it. Wave them if you got them. Gingy, to you.
Rock on, Steelers Nation. This is Mutant Gingy. We hanging out. We talking football. We playing Xbox. Mutant Gingy on Xbox and everywhere else. You know what? If you ain't hyped for this week, you're pretty much the Walking Dead Steeler fans. This is AFC North football. This is the Cincinnati Bengals, Pittsburgh Steelers.
Snot
folks.
knockers!
Snot knockers all the way around, Donkey. Steelers Nation, wave them if you got them. Wave them twice for me. Let's go.